As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Please don't let me, I'm gonna die!
Taking them so long.
Hey, these guys are professionals. They're the best.
Totally. I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh, yeah, the Great Bambino. Of course. I thought you said the Great Bambi.
It's the Al Travis Show. We've got him, Senator Jeff Howe on the program. He had a pretty good week, I think. I think you're very excited about this. We'll talk about it in a second. I got to clear up this whole thing with you rooting for the Patriots that you mentioned the last half hour. They could not get their head coach with 6 rings on his finger, a first-round ballot Hall of Fame. I believe, I make fun, I believe is because almost everybody that votes for that, all those sportscasters, are jealous of his 30-year-old girlfriend. I think that is the only reason he didn't get in.
The thing is I still don't understand why Pete Rose isn't in the Baseball Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
You got sports betting all over the place right now, and we're condoning it seems. So,
well, we make money off that.
I'm over all of that stuff. The thing is I'm just saying when the New England Patriots were the doormat of the AFC. I was a fan because I liked their name.
Okay.
And I always liked rooting for the underdog, right? And they were the underdog of underdogs. And now they figured out a way to win.
I get your point. I just don't need another New England team winning another Super Bowl. Give Seattle a chance. I'm tired of New England winning is probably more my thing. That's why I'm rooting for the guys with a 4.5 point, betting margin, and I'm rooting for them, but feel like I'm rooting for the underdog because Sam Darnold will fumble something. He's going to throw an interception.
But you're playing Darnold as a Minnesota guy. He was here for 1 season. He's not a Minnesota guy. He wasn't raised here for crying out loud.
But he won us 14 games. We did him wrong. Let him leave. I don't know. We don't need to talk sports.
Won't argue that.
All right,
Won't
fair
argue
enough.
that.
I want to talk about your Tuesday. I got to think, because for folks who know, you are friends with Speaker Damath, right? You're friends. I believe you said on this program, you kind of did some talking to get her to make sure she went in for this run. You're a big backer. So,
yeah,
right.
I recruited her to replace me when I left the house. I recruited her to run for governor. Yes, I've been in her ear her entire legislative career.
I just want to lay that out there for folks. So this is where you're coming from. And unabashedly, you guys should be very happy with how the caucuses went on Tuesday, right? I can't read it from here. I think it's 4,255. The next person was Kendall Qualls, 1,000 people behind. Mike Lindell, another 500 behind that. And then everybody else, distant third place. Yeah. So what happens with that? That's great momentum for Representative Damath. Obviously, that's going to help, I presume, raise money. How many people out of 14 do you expect to fall out of this race when I've been saying this? Most of them lost to undecided.
Yes. And you know what? If you lost to undecided or were close to undecided, like former Senator Doc Jensen, he beat undecided by 20 votes.
Yeah, something like that.
You should really, really reevaluate in what you're doing, and maybe either look for a different office to run for, or get behind somebody, make a deal with one of the leaders. And that's the thing that strikes me about Kendall Qualls is that 4 years ago when he was doing this, he had an opportunity when he was at the state convention to make a deal.
Yep.
And people can say what they want. Trump is a deal maker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every state conventions I've been at, there's been a deal.
Yeah.
There's always a deal. These first timers that were down there that 4 years ago were all looking at me. I said, well, there's going to be a deal. I said, don't pay attention to this. When it comes right down to the end, there's going to be a deal. And they said, oh, no, there won't be a deal. I said, trust me, there's going to be a deal. The problem is you got to be able to make that deal. And in the politics, there's always making a deal. I'll give you this if you give me that, right? It's always that. So Qualls couldn't make the deal. Jensen made the deal.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I get your point.
He proved to me that he's not the guy that can make this happen. Even if he gets into the office, he can't. I don't think he can win, for one thing. And especially against Klobuchar, I think we need to have a woman to negate that, because I think it's always tough to run against a woman. It is.
It takes away the suburban women vote out there. You can split that in half. Let me ask you this: and you're not running Kristen Robbins' campaign. I get that, and I understand where you're coming from. But she's in a seat. We are sitting, 67 in the House and 33 in the Senate. When you're Kristen Robbins and you're head of the committee, fraud committee, and you've got so much work you could do, when you get 626 votes and that's it, is there any problem with saying, you know what, I can go back and win my seat. I can go back and try to get the Senate seat. I can go do something else than battle this so that to keep the numbers in the Republicans' favor. Do people think like that? Should she be thinking like that?
You should be thinking that way. I mean, why put your effort there? And like I say, do you really want to be the governor of a total Democrat legislature?
Yeah.
You can do some good. I think she's a terrific legislator. Is it that she doesn't want to do it anymore? Or she doesn't want to be involved? I would reevaluate. I think her funds are going to dry up. I think it's going to get tough to raise money when that was your showing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would if she was going to ask me my advice, I would say either run for the House again and hold that seat, and hopefully you get the majority.
Yep.
Or I would ask her as a senator to run for Limmer's seat, because I believe she is the only one that can hold that seat. I don't think we can bring in a new body and win that seat. I think we need someone like Kristen Robbins to come in and hold that seat and do that for the state, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I left the House and ran for the Senate. Keep in mind, you earn seniority the longer time you're being there. And seniority means something in the legislature.
Yeah.
It was tough for me to leave the House and run for the Senate, because I gave up 6 years of seniority and I started from scratch. I don't get to carry it into the Senate. They don't recognize the House seniority. So you give up all that. And I didn't do it because I wanted to change over. I was comfortable where I was. I liked who I was working with, but I did it for the good of the state. And people got to get over themselves and look what is important. Where can I do the most good and have the most impact?
Let me shift gears over to that governor's race. As far as, I think it was KSTP did a poll, Amy Klobuchar against each of the others. And for the most part, Amy Klobuchar gets 50% across the board, and she wins by 13 or 14 points against the Republican, with more than enough undecideds to make up that difference. And, of course, Senator Klobuchar says this is a huge win. The Democrats a huge win for her. I throw this to you because it seems shocking to me that Senator Klobuchar, 20 years as the senator of Minnesota, the one everyone loves, right, the greatest politician in Minnesota, doesn't break 50%. She doesn't get over 50% in that poll. And undecideds, who's undecided about Senator Klobuchar? What about that poll for you?
Well, she didn't make 50%. She made 49%. I think this is her high watermark.
That's what I'm saying.
I think this is troubling for her. She's got a lot of work to do. If this is the best she can do against some of the guys like Doc Jensen, that hardly he just barely beat undecided, for crying out loud, in the straw poll.
See, in the straw poll, on the other side, all Republicans got 30-something, right? So there's a base of Republicans. Doesn't matter. They're going to go 30-something. But if her top is 50, and no one started ripping on her, tying her to this or that, none of the negative stuff has come out. You're right. This is her high watermark. Any of those Republicans are going to go up from there. This should scare them a lot. Of course, they're going to spin it differently. I thought that was a very interesting poll. She should have been in the 60s, mid-60s and 70s in Minnesota, my opinion. I'm saying
anybody on our side of the aisle that looks like that saying, we got a shot. This is a credible deal. We're in the mix.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go. The other poll that I found interesting on the Senate side, Again, it was KSCP. They're making a lot of money here. They ran a poll. Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, put 2 out saying she was up on Craig by 13, 14%. Craig said that's your own polling. She's dismissing it. The two of them are starting to battle a little. KSTP comes out 20% for Craig, 19 for Flanagan. So you're talking middle of, a tie here. Michelle Tafoya gets in at 13%, half for White after that, Wheeler, Swarzy, and the rest. That is an amazing stat for me that Tafoya just getting in is seriously in the mix there, and Craig and Flanagan haven't started beating each other up yet. Do you think that Tafoya thing is, sorry to the other Republicans, she jumped in a week, 2 weeks' time. She is the front runner in that poll. By far. She's doubled everybody else.
You got name recognition, right? You got people that don't even pay attention to politics going, I recognize that.
Yeah.
So, and that plays a big part of it. That's the only reason Doc Jensen gets the stuff he's got, because he ran once before. Yeah. That's the reason
a lot with Royce Wayne
is out there.
Yeah.
He's
been there, done that.
Been there before. So without that, that's why Mike Lindell does as good as he does, is because he's got name recognition. Tafoya steps in to the mix, immediate name recognition. That's what it's about.
My quick question to you before we go to break. There's this talk that possibly if Amy Klobuchar wins this, she's going to give the seat to Walz, because Walz didn't say, he said he wasn't going to run again, but would he take the seat? I think people would find that hard to swallow. Then the rumor starts, well, wait, if Angie Craig and Peggy Flanagan go back and forth for that Senate seat, one of them gets it, the other one gets Amy's seat. Will Minnesotans go for this? Don't worry about it. We know the top 4 people in the state. We'll shuffle the deck the way we want and give who. Will Minnesotans go for that? That seems like such a play.
Difference if Minnesotans will go for it. They will do that. That's what the deal is. Because they have done this before. They have continued to do it. And I would, if I was a betting man, I would go to Vegas and put money down that that's what was going to happen. Exactly.
I just want, okay, I get it. They do it, they survive it. That is I would think that's such a play that would hurt even Klobuchar's image to say, I worked a deal backdoor. Don't worry, these are my girls, and I'm going to put them in I think that would be weird.
Voters have a short memory, and that's the problem. And they have the media on their side, right?
All right. Fair enough.
So,
all right, we got to go to break. We'll be back after this. I've got him, Senator Jeff Howe, on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
guy that knows a guy, Al Travis.
And I love having him on. He's Senator Jeff Howe. Senator, this is all icy related. I'm not a big fan of it, but the story in the Star Trib today, it just got me off the charts. So Holman comes in, and he's going to change things around. He evidently goes and chats with the union of sheriffs in charge of the county, the state, and they come to agreement that for the most part, this sheriff's group is going to say, yeah, we'll work with ICE. We get somebody in jail. We'll let you know. You got the detainer on him. You come pick him up. So now it takes 2 ICE guys to go to the jail. The guy's already in handcuffs, has no guns. You can pick him, boom. Instead of the 15 or 16 so that, you're catching them on the side of the street. The story today, and I would ask everyone to read it, the Star Trib, is how Hennepin and Ramsey County, the 2 biggest counties in the state, not necessarily going to go along with that plan. So far, Holman took 700 people every day. They're throwing 700 ICE guys out. We only need 2,000 because all these other counties are helping out. And if you read the story, you'll talk with, what's her name? I got her, Dewana Witt, the sheriff here in Hennepin County, talking about this whole, we don't want to ruin these guys' rights and yada, yada. They're illegal immigrants in our country, in our jails for presumably having done some other thing wrong. And then she's saying, well, they haven't had their court date yet. You already arrested them for whatever it was. We know they're not here legally. Does Minneapolis and St. Paul want to have those neighbors, fingers in quotes, in and around their neighborhood? I think if people read the story, they're going to say, that's not what I'm looking for.
Well, and what I heard one guy tell me, he goes, let's just build a fence around them and let them have them. Quit fighting them. Let them have all these folks. But, that's the problem that we're facing. That's why I don't go to Minneapolis anymore. Yeah. I mean, I spent the whole day down in St. Paul working on legislation.
Yeah.
I don't go to Minneapolis anymore because it isn't worth the risk. And that's why you see a lot of shops closing up. People moving out of Minneapolis and St. Paul. I don't like that theory. If law enforcement should all be working together, that's how we solve issues. And Al, you and I you can't function in this country legally without documentation.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't get a library card. You can't drive down the road. You can't cash a check. I don't care what it is. You can't function legally in this country without documentation, and that's all of us.
You can't go to Walmart and get Sudafed for my allergies without proving I'm a citizen with my driver's. I have to have a driver's license to prove I can get Sudafed for allergy relief. It's crazy.
Yes. And so that's, if Hennepin and Ramsey County would knuckle under on this deal and just cooperate on that issue, ICE would be gone. We wouldn't have this issue anymore. Yeah. And none of this would have ever happened. But because they're sanctuary cities and sanctuary counties, that's what drives this whole narrative that caused this issue.
I brought this up to my wife, and I'm with you. I said yesterday, I said, well, okay, just let them have it. Donald Trump, pull the ICE out and tell everybody Minneapolis and St. Paul are sanctuary cities. If you're a bad guy, go there because we're not coming in. They'd be overrun. And I feel horrible for all those people that don't want this. And I think that's why the federal government's got to stay there. You know what I mean? You can't tell me 100% of Minneapolis residents want this killer or that rapist or this kid getting out of jail and saying, well, we're not going to give them the ICE because of whatever technicality they want to use. Minneapolis doesn't want that. That's why we have to be there. But here, let me throw one at you.
Out of that, if you do that, then what happens to the international airport? You put TSA out? You shut down the airport? That's what you're looking at, right?
It's a good point. But they're already doing something. How is there places in Minnesota, in the U.S. of A., that these knuckleheads can block off streets and check you for your ID? These guys who hate IDs and that sort of thing, check to make sure you're not an ICE guy before you can go through a street in Minneapolis. Where are the Minneapolis Police Department doing what Minneapolis police are supposed to do? Keep the roads safe.
Yeah, I mean, if I did that right out here on 47 and 23, what do you think would happen to me, right? What would happen to you, Al? You start throwing up a little brush pile in the middle of the intersection saying, hey, I lived that in Iraq. Why would you want that? That's a third world country. You want to do that here? Come on.
we've gone too far down a path that I don't know where we get back from this. It sounds to me like Homan's trying, and if you got all the sheriffs in the county saying we'll in the state we'll do this, except Minnesota, Hennepin, and Ramsey, I'll tell you what, Senator, you might have something there. Got to give the cities up until they want to stand up for their own rights. I don't know how you do that if you're not going to get the help. I don't know how.
It's a bad deal. I don't know what the answer is, because when you thought there was when they had their last election in Minneapolis, I thought there might be hope they might go a direction. They did. It's unfathomable that they continue to go down that socialist road, and this country won't function in a socialist society.
I got to fly. We're out of time. Senator Howe, love having you on. We'll see you next week. Senator Howe on the Al Travis Show.